prize money on the line, and of course the Axe of Champions, an in-game pickaxe to show the world we are your champions of this season. Now, of course, we do have these 7 regions, right? You're probably thinking, well, what are those 7 regions? Are we all playing at the same time? No, some of those are actually already done. So let's take a look at their standings, and we can use that as a metric to measure the competition that we could see today. Take a look here. We've got Moffin's trio, a veteran in the competitive scene over in Asia. Their trio walks away with 224 points. Now, this is something the boys here, we're talking about your top 3. They're auto-qualifying, so that means the next time we'll see points from them will be in finals. But, Levin, 224 points. My goodness, that's the way you want to start just week 1.
Yeah, look, great performance from them. And Reese, look, I know you're a massive fan of these guys. So what did you think of their performance?
Look, realistically, going back to like Moffin's team in particular, this is kind of a team switch around for them this season. But Moffin is an ex-FNCS champion from Chapter 2 Season 4. Huge name. If you've ever watched the region at all, Wildhawk is an incredibly aggressive player, and at that, an incredibly successful player, because in Season 5, playing along with Rimmer, those two got 4th as well. So huge success in this team generally across the seasons. Now already in the first qualifier this season, they've managed to push it all the way up to 1st. And of course, it's not just them. We have 2 more teams who've obviously managed to auto-qualify through to straight to the finals, who are going to be
anybody
those
from these
semi-final
regions,
stage,
but
which, look, they're going to be happy about it.
Sure,
yeah, 100%. And let's take a look down under, because there was also Oceania that happened. And look, I'm not gonna lie, there's one thing that stands out to me. Of course, that first place team, Vortex, Jace, Tayson, and yes, Tayson, not Tayson, the EU goat, Tayson, they were able to win 3 out of the 6 games, guys. Look, I'm not, I hate doing maths on broadcast, but look, 50% of the games they won, that is absolutely insane. That must be a phenomenal feeling. And to auto-qualify now for that grand finals is sublime. Of course, the 2 other teams were able to auto-qualify as well. But look, if you are, the other teams looking around in this lobby, you gotta be reviewing these guys. You gotta be looking at what they did to win 3 out of 6 games and try and do that for next week, because they performed brilliantly.
Yeah, the OC region is the smallest region, so, if any of these teams from other regions are looking and going, it's only OC, trust me, this still is absolutely incredible to pop up with 3 victory royales out of this. The quality of the games that we're getting in these kind of lobbies are so massive, and to win 50% of those is no small feat. You can't be underestimating this one little bit.
I mean, to have enough gas in the tank, because remember, they're fighting through 3 other qualifiers. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So to do that, and then in qualifier 4, the hardest the competition could be at that stage, to say 50% of the games we've won, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. Now, we got to talk about the qualifier 3 for Europe. Remember, we're taking a look at qualifier 4. So let's talk about some of the trios we're seeing, some of the action, and what we can expect as viewers.
When they finish,
so
we make it
they're going to break it down for
FNCS.
us. Take a look.
Chats, let me know if you know if anybody
we obviously had our round 2 and round 3, but from the top of this, look, we're going to take some of the top teams, Floki, and Clement. If you watched them at all last season, they obviously had a lot of kind of interesting kind of discussions and fights with Benji Fishy when it came to their drop spot, but they ended up being victorious, making it through to finals, not being on the biggest show there. However, they were definitely very impressive in the qualifiers, and I expect that they're going to be very impressive in this season's qualifiers too, and they're going to learn from the mistakes and apply that in the success in the finals too.
Yeah, and look, a team who maybe I didn't expect to necessarily impress, who did yesterday in round 3, was SLQ, Laws, and Dids. These guys are definitely more of an unknown quantity we're going to see today. But with how they performed yesterday, it'll be great sort of, a boost of confidence for them coming into today's lobby. I don't know about you, Reese, but I didn't expect them to do as well as they did, but they did, which is the most important part.
And that's what's cool. There's always these up-and-coming teams who are going to make it right through, who haven't got as much earnings, but this is their time to make it, right? Make it through the finals and get that. But teams who are much more kind of experienced in this, who they're going to be going up against. We've got the likes of Vino, Tayson, and Reason. Obviously, we just went past Kinzel, iDrop, and Wakey, too, who were in second room yesterday. Look, this team has had a little bit interesting backstory, because obviously a lot of these guys have split from already established big teams already, come together and thinking that they can perform well. And look, so far it seems to be working out pretty well.
Yeah, 100%. In the tournaments they've played together so far, they have looked, phenomenal. They've looked like one of the best teams we've ever seen in trios. And so it's going to be impressive or important to see how they do in today's competition, because there's a lot to prove. We've seen them do well in open qualifier formats. In a set 33-man lobby, there's still something to prove for them. Doesn't mean I'm doubting them, because I do think they are a phenomenal trio, but something there to prove.
Dude, the competition always just gets stronger and stronger every season, right? And especially, remember, fighting through these qualifiers, there's a high chance some of these high-profile trios won't make it a qualifier 4. We've seen stuff like that in previous seasons of FNCS, right? So we'll have to see how these continued weeks unfold. Let's take a look at the new map in Chapter 2, Season 7. We got to talk about some of the POIs. We got to talk about... Oh, I'm sorry. Just kidding. I got ahead of myself. We got to talk about the trios we're going to be watching. I got so excited. I love when we get to draw on the map. Okay, here's the trios we'll be watching today specifically. You guys mentioned Vino, Tayson, and Reason up at the top. There's so many more names down this list that we have to keep an eye on, though.
Yeah, there's an insane amount of names, but a team that stands out to me, Kiri, actually, Stormy Right Twos, they're a team who I think is just sort of being on the cusp of being considered one of the top trios, right? When you think of the elite trios in Europe this year, you know, you think of the likes of Hen, Janice, Chapix. These guys have that level of skill and that level of quality. They just need to put the performances in now.
It's true, and if we move over to that next page, we'll see the next 11 amount of players or teams we have here. Look, you already hinted at. And Janice Chapix already made it through qualifier number 1. They've made it. They placed 22nd yesterday. They've been on a rampage for, I was going to say this season, but realistically, they've been on a rampage for 2021 so far. And coming out today, like, they definitely have to be one of the strongest teams out there. And come on, let's be real, they got to be a top 3 pick.
100%, 100%. Let's take a look at that third and final page, though. The last, but certainly not the least. You look at some of the names on here. I'll be honest, yeah. We've got the best pick of the bunch, arguably. You have obviously the fan favorites, the likes of Benji Fishy, who is now playing with Shadow and Joe. I know this year has been a wild one for Benji, hopping from true to true, but hopefully this is going to be the one to settle the ship. Of course, you also have Aqua, Badil, and O'Reilly playing with each other. The return of Mitro on the grand stage. Like, there's so much to be excited about in this lobby today, Reese. It's going to be a heck of a ride.
Look, I'm excited about Mitro's return, right? I know a lot of the viewers out there, a lot of the fan base will be as well, because we've not seen Mitro in a kind of round 4 kind of or a finals custom stage lobby in a long time. And it seems like him and his trio of CRR and X8 have learned a lot from their past, right? There's been a tough couple seasons for them, but it seems to be working out right now, and this is the real test.
Oh man, EU is a crazy battlefield of talent. Okay, now for real, we got to draw. Okay, so this is a brand new map of Season 7. All right, most of the things are pretty much the same, right? We got a few new names up on there. Believers Beach. We got Holly Hatchery. So gentlemen, talk us through some of the trios we should be keeping our eyes on. Some hot POIs that will be contested, and possibly even some head-to-head matchups we'll be watching over the course of the qualifiers.
We kind of mentioned them a little bit. When we're talking about Mitro, X8, and CRR are landing in Slurpy Swamps, a place they've been landing pretty frequently, to be honest, this season. But they're going to be going against Kiriachi, Tus, and Stormy, right? Stormy, right, are the absolute veterans of this drop spot. They've been landing there pretty much for the entire of this chapter, not even the season. So that's going to be an extremely tough fight for them. But not only that, we have Rifla, Astro, and Savage, who are kind of landing nearby in the Hydro 16 area. So in this kind of split down here. And basically, they're probably going to be pushing into third party this fight afterwards. So it could be extremely difficult for them to kind of not be third partied, not get kind of shot in the back. And this fight could be very messy.
Yeah, and if we, we sort of got to speed run this here, but look, if we go to Believers Beach, of course, that's where Tayson, Vino, and Reason are going to be landing. They have a lot to prove. Believers Beach is going to be a spot you guys are going to have to look out for this season. It's one of the strongest POIs in the game now, and a lot of top trios want to land there. Fortunately for this trio, they get uncontested this week. They're not going to have that luxury next week, I can assure you that. So they've got to make use of it. They have to qualify this week, get top 3, and secure their spot in the finals. Not only them, though, we mentioned the return of Aqua, one of the GOATs of Fortnite. He's back on the grand stage, playing with No O'Reilly and Badil. Can they do it out of Bony Burbs? It's always a possibility. And I do want to put some respect on Holly Hatchery, because Kinzel, iDrop, and Wakey, one of the few teams in this lobby who's actually like stuck together, right? Like the roster shuffles always happen in between seasons, always a bunch of new trios. These guys have opted to believe in the project, stick together, and I believe in them for that.
Yeah, and what can we not talk about Hen, Janice, Chapix out of Craggy Cliffs? For them, it's going to be pretty interesting for them being uncontested this time, who now have the ability to kind of W-key teams who are around them from split drops. We have up in this kind of split area up in the northeast, we have Elecrats, Hottie, and Tripper who are going there, who are going to be pretty split, so it could be a Storm Surge strategy for them. Same with Remix, Squint, and Cisse down in this kind of area down below, kind of picking up some of the Zate Hill and the Blue Steel Bridge area. So for them, definitely looking out for them to kind of W-key in through this way, get their tags in that way.
Dude, I love it. The breakdown is insane. Let's take a look at some of the spotlights from one of the trios we were kind of talking about here. Real fast, 11 tournament wins. This is across DreamHack, Cash Cups, FNCS, etc. Hen, Janice, and Chapix. There's a reason we talk about this team, Levin.
Yeah, look, they are former FNCS champions at the end of the day, and so they're always threatened. To be honest, Zeke, I still believe they're the best trio in the world. They have an average placements of 3rd in FNCS competitions over the course of this year. That's absolutely insane, right? These guys, I believe, are still the best trio in the world and the trio to watch today.
Yeah, I mean, they're trio to watch in every single tournament overall. They have 5 victory rounds across all of the FNCS finals that they've made it through, which is some of the best of all of the teams so far. So look, if they're not our predictions for some of them today, sneak peek.
That's a great segue. That's a great segue. Real fast, let's touch on our predictions. Teams we think could walk away the Victory Royale winners, the most winningest on the day. And Levin and Reese, you guys are in agreement. It is the trio we just spotlighted: Hen, Janice, and Chapix.
Well, yeah, I think, you know, to cut it short, at the end of the day, the history books will show that these guys coming into this lobby were set up to be the best trio, right? You look at every team, and as much as you can be impressed by many of the teams, these guys have shown it at the highest level countless times, and they are 100% the favorites to not just win, but to also they need to get top 3 because that's the standards they set up themselves.
Yeah, and Shadows going with Vino, Taste, and Reason. We've already mentioned how good they are. Sancho's going with High, Chris, Vortex, and Knight. One of the best teams, I think, this season, performing through Cash Cups and Qualifiers so far. So look, hands down a good pick.
Oh, man, it is so good. I'm loving the breakdown here. And of course, we'll be seeing Shy Wager and Sancho in just a little bit. But Fortnite fam, we hope you guys are ready and prepared because we're getting ready to jump aboard the battle bus. We've got 6 matches ahead of us. We've got Shy, we've got Sancho. They'll be breaking down the action. We'll come back between games. We'll break down some of the analytical parts, take a look at the leaderboards, and of course, keep up with all of the Fortnite action. So with that being said, y'all know what time it is. We got to go say hi to the boys with the nicest shirts you'll ever see in the land. It's Shy Wager. It's Sancho West, friends. Over to you.
It is time for Chapter 2, Season 7 of the FNCS. Sancho, I mean, we've got parasites, we've got aliens, but it's going to be us invading your eyes, hearts, and ears for 6 games in Europe. So much on the line. That top 3 was the main focus on the desk, but there's so many teams that look out for today, Sancho.
Oh, no doubt. And we are going to see the beginnings of a phenomenal ride here. And I'm hoping that we get to see the beginnings of Tayson's dominance. We see the FNCS All-Star champion maybe be able to take another trio into the finals. But Shio, we got to say, there's a lot of big names not in today's fight.
Yeah, today, you know, Seti Kemi, Tiki, Anas, Flick, Thomas HD, Kazakh 4ZR, Nate, some of these Titan trios who we're used to watching take big spots of the map are not going to be playing today. So there's going to be a lot of new kind of faces and old taking over those POIs. It'll be very interesting. Some of the same old big names, but a little bit of new spice all around the map as well. And we're tuning in with Floki, Deciptos, and Clement on their drop for game number 1.
And just taking a look at the feed right now, Refresh taking out passive. That means the bus started on that northwest side coming down here towards Misty. And essentially that's going to be a battle at the Deep Woods dish that we have to keep an eye on. But right now, Floki, Deceptos, Clement, a team coming out normally a Pleasant Park from last season, now switching the drops out to Misty Meadows. And the battle's already started with a crazy 50-50. And there you go. Elimination's already started. Floki picking up the Elim on Mwaka.
Walk already going down. It's so fast and Misty at the start of this season. Usually over time, it takes a while for these trios to end up fighting, but they want to waste none whatsoever. Floki is helping picking up another as well. That'd be Koro going down. Past that, a 3v1 will be up for grabs, and I don't think Splash has any chance of kind of bouncing out of the water in this one.
I am amazed right now. The feed is just lighting up. We saw this last season where essentially the first, like in the finals, the first game 1, that Elim feed was just lighting up. So we're seeing the EU region stepping it up, and look at it. Huddy taking out SLQ. We got Wax taking out Dids. This is what we're talking about. It's FNCS time. CRR knocking Kirachi. So that's a battle out there down in Slurpy Swamps that is developing, folks. This is insane right now, Shia. Look at it.
Yeah, we got to zoom straight to Slurpy, hopefully very soon. Kiriachi getting completely eliminated after that knock as well. That's a very, very hot fight we were looking at to start off with. There it is. CRR now, 2v1. 102 rolls in. Stormy right surviving with just a little bit of HP, but he gets the clutch, gets the finish. That's what you expect from CRR, and I'm so glad to be watching him once again on the main stage.
I am so surprised going into this battle. We already highlighted at the analyst desk there, Shio, that we're saying this is Kiriachi's place. He's been here since the beginning of Chapter 2, Season 1. But CRR, alongside with Mitro and X8, kind of throwing the first blows in that battle. And we go from the craziness that's been happening throughout the entire opening moments of game 1 into the calmness and the chill vibes at Believer Beach.
That Believer Beach, Tayston, Vino, Reason are going to be rolling in. I think the biggest issue for these guys here is just, you know, how Surge is going to work off of this spot. There's not going to be anyone directly contesting them, and around them are a lot of top tier teams usually straight away from going towards Believer Beach, Sweaty Sands, whatever you guys are nostalgically remembering this kind of POI as. So we'll see them kind of roll away. The big fact though is that, you know, Tayston, one of the most glorified in terms of, like, you know, the titles that he has and the dominance he's had on the EU scene, whether it's solo, whether it's with a trio, Sancho. I mean, no matter which team he's on, he performs.
And here is the first peek at the storm. Zone 1 has been revealed. You're going to be a little bit of South Central. So all those teams that are fighting in Slurpy Swamp, that's going to be MHz trio looking good. You have Bad Sniper, who's moved over from Lazy Lake and switched trios down in Weeping Woods. And then you have Ingram sitting dead center there at the Defiant Dish looking solid. Of course, Boney Burbs is going to be the northmost portion of that. And that's going to be that trio that we're talking about. Aqua, and that's going to be interesting to see. We talked about the GOAT and Tayston. Can Aqua come back and let the world know that he's still the GOAT?
That is one of the big questions too, and something to touch on that was on the desk as well as a talking point is kind of, you know, the whole top 3 scenario of making it all the way towards finals, and the fact there's so many fights all the way around. We have Pen, Janice, Chapix as well rolling in way off of Craggy, picking up a big fight towards Stealthy towards the top. But in general, right, Sancho, you're looking at a bunch of teams that not only want to qualify for the finals, but if they do it this week, they get a lot of say as to, you know, their drop spot for the rest of the season. Like they get to control it, they get it first. That is huge, especially for some of these guys who might not be at spots that are completely claimed yet.
And at the same time, you know, some of the ones need this top 3. I've seen a lot in terms of their past history that they struggle in the semifinals, and sometimes, you know, they don't do well in the reboot round. So this is it. This is all or nothing here. And that's what I love about this new format change that we did last season. It is top 3, and you automatically scoot all the way through to the finals. And what I'm surprised is seeing the aggression out of Hen's trio here. Normally, they kind of loot up there. They kind of take their time. They hit all the fishing spots. But seeing that the Elam feed lit up early, they went ahead and pushed over to the formerly known as Stealthy Stronghold.
Yeah, I think one of the big things is to just, you know, get your early game win condition out of the way, which is just make sure you get into at least one fight, get that surge down, especially towards these outer edge POIs. If you're in the business inside Boney Burbs looking at exactly who could be beside you, you could wait a little bit, loot out an extra spot or a minute more, and then move later, because you'll be running into many teams beside you. Here's Vidil, Noah Riley, and Aqua. You'll see the, you know, the foreign characters here. That's Noah Riley. Wave High Ground, that's Vidil. Let me just work translator really quick. And then Aqua is always on height, so that is a given. But they should be very, very scary to watch. I just feel like for this trio, sometimes the starts of these, you know, final format set lobbies are kind of slow.
Indeed, and we were talking about all that action a little bit earlier, so just to give you an update on the trios that did fall. Lawson, Dids, and SLQ are out. Kirachi, Storming Right, and Toos are down, and you have Shady, Passive, and Baffo went out early, and then you have Splash and Mawaka's trio out. So that's about 4 trios already gone. And yeah, you talked about Surge Plan. What's going to be the Surge Plan out of Boney Burbs? And considering that there is the abductor right over there, the UFO kind of looming out in the distance there in the aftermath, and I would think that they would utilize those permanent pads out there and maybe utilize that updraft vibe to be able to push into maybe risky, maybe be a little bit more aggressive and pleasant. But so far, they're taking their time here and looting them properly.
Yeah, the fact that they're actually going straight for loot more than anything else makes me feel like, you know, especially with the zone that they have, they're waiting out and possibly going for edge zone fights instead of taking control of these southern mountains fast. While that all happens, though, the slowest fight you could possibly find on the map here over at Corny Complex will be between Riot's trio and what I believe to be Benji's possibly right in front of them. No, it's actually High Chris that's slightly running away. You can end up going towards the basement here, Sancho, the factory plant, and end up just delaying things so much. There's bushes, there's cornfields. It's a crazy fight you don't see anywhere else on the island.
This is by far my favorite POI in their introduction here this season. Now, my pick here is the High Chris's trio. It totally relies on how fast they get rid of Roban's trio, and so far, that is not the issue. But let's go back into this fight. It is Bobby's trio going up against the GOAT Aqua's trio here. So Bobby's here for this fight. Bobby Bray, and oh my goodness, the beams from the backside here, all the way on the mountain out in that dish area. That is Ingram's trio sending the beam towards here, Noah Riley, and they're going to stop and pause, and you are seeing the Storm Surge plan right here, and that is to aggressively push any trio that's making the rotation through Boney Burbs.
Yeah, they're just slightly towards the center point of the circle, or not all the way away from the edge, so there are going to be a bunch of other eyes on them. Versa will be able to run away completely, but they'll have a base to catch anyone else coming in from the north side and just be kind of a toll gate for anyone trying to ride in this zone highway.
Now you're seeing, folks, as everyone's setting up into their storm surge plans, going up on the mountains.
Yo,
this is the moment where they're relying on their beams here. We're on board here with Kenzo, we already see that Levin kind of pointing out this is a trio that's been together for a bit. And which is quite surprising there, Shayo, I would have to say, is that when it comes down to this, it's like so many trios traditionally stick together with EU, but this season, so many different trios are kind of mixing up. And after the results of this week, we might see more mix-ups among all the top trios.
Yeah, that was one of the biggest things, aside from, like, you know, a lot of the top teams not making it this week, the on-the-book format type record stuff. Off the record, off the books, just the roster swaps we're watching. One big thing on the line is not only the top 3, but making sure that your team swap made more sense than, you know, the teammates that you left behind. There's big matchups, you know, today that kind of represent that. The biggest one, honestly, is Tayson Vino Reason versus Vadil Aqua Noah Riley.
And we're seeing in the feed, it looks like Podosai coming from Steamy Stacks, kind of being a third party into that corning complex, taking down High Chris. But here is those couple of teams that kind of formed together last minute. You have Savid, Rifla, and Astro kind of being a nuisance over there to Wolfie's trio, which is filled with Milan and Marine. So we're seeing it right now. The Storm Surge plans are in effect. Everyone's kind of pursed up in the respective bases, Shayo.
Yeah, quick stat for this team too. The fact that they placed top 10 in every single game they played in round 3, that might make you think that, wow, they should be a shoo-in for round 4, right? For me personally, Sancho, when I see that, it's kind of a little bit of a trap for me in terms of a statistic, because every time you see these teams do very well in round 3, they're handling the randomness, they're handling the changes every single game. When they get into the set lobby and they actually need surge paths, it's not just making it to zone or playing aggressive. When they have top teams near them now, it's not just the willy-nilly, you know, 1,500 rolling in or the 150 rolling in. That's where things get different. That's where that play style that they might think is good is actually a poison for them. So they'll have to make some changes. That squad's Astro Savers and Riflas and, you know, just approaching this game in general. Past that too, we got Nikov rolling in with Podosai. Natasha Uchiha. We'll see if he can trap anyone in that Mangekyo in just a second, but we'll see what's going through in a little bit for these guys. They're going to be rolling in off the north very, very fast. That'll be a very smart thing to do if you're trapped beside so many teams and bases like we saw Tayson Vino Reason and Vadil Aqua Noah Riley making towards the center of the map.
Of course, Nikov, you know, leaving the kind of traditional team of Blaster and Alpha, joining One Loss and Podosai, and we're seeing that their plan is to third party anything that's happening in Corning Complex. So it's important for High Chris's trio to wrap up that fight. So now we're back on board to the mountainous ranges here. Wolfies and Milan and Marine already have to dip into their heels, considering one of them was knocked there from Save It out there in that top left here. But all the action is happening. Now we got ourselves a box fight, and still Noah Riley and Aqua now be able to get Shake Coast right there. This is very big for them, Shao, considering that they couldn't really capitalize on Versa's rotation. So these are going to be very valuable Storm Surge, but at the same time, they have to survive this fight.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very tough. We know how long these guys looted for in general. They had very, very good both mats, heals, and weapons to roll with. So Noah Riley should have no issue probably popping a med kit to get all the way back up. There'll be enough shields. You can already see them in Aqua's inventory, but he has to play defense for the time being. Reason's moving in, and now we have ex-teammates on each other's walls and boxes with one man down and shields on the ground too. This is going to be tough to get out of.
They don't want this fight right now. They are 584 above Storm Surge. There's no way they want any business with Tayson Vino and Noah Riley. You talk about two teammates colliding, but it is literally two Titans. And looks like Satisfied already being a nuisance. Vino and Reason are going to go ahead and go away. But now Kenzel, Wakey, and iDrop are in trouble because Ingram, Box, and Buzz are here. Kenzel gets knocked once again. iDrop and Wakey now going to have to try their best. And actually, Wakey has a Parasite on top of his head. So he's going to be limited to 75 white HP, but he will have some movement abilities as well. Move a little bit faster as well, get some jumps. So Wolfies knocks Buzz here from the backside, but Wakey, Kenzel, and iDrop are doing all that they can just to get away from the attention, and they find a nice little nook here to res up and heal up.
They actually also end up using a bunch of time, which is a resource you can never really get back inside Fortnite to be able to get that res off. Lose slight position as well. 169 damage above Surge might not be enough rolling in towards the later portions of the game, so they will have to catch back up whenever possible. That being said, while they're kind of stuck between a rock and a parasitic place, we got Chapix, Janice, and they're rolling in. They're towards the center of the zone. I'm liking these low base boxes that are towards the ground. You know these guys have already kind of set through what they're playing with the early game fight. Almost 1,000 damage above Surge, Sancho. I mean, they are free to play this game however they want.
Yeah, that was a great push going into it. And right now, Benji is in the feed. Pablito, Damian going down. And you're seeing Benji actually utilizing the Cammy split, and he would have been contested. But so far, we didn't see him earlier on. So meaning that he may have got that split to himself. Joe is right there to clean that up. But yes, I agree with you. We're seeing the changes. And yes, here he is, Benji Fishy, picking up Shadow and Joe. Now, this is one of those things. Like every time I see them, they like to aggressively play for height, even though right now they're in a world of hurt with this fire. But that's what I would like to see. Can they execute in a set lobby and be able to control height, considering that there's so many other trios who do it better?
Actually, you're right. So many godlike height trios here today. Literally, Aqua has his name as always on height, and he's alive for this one. Before they get towards the heavens, they have to deal with on the ground right in front of them. Before Jamswood rolling in once again from the north, kind of battling Photosize you saw before. Parasite taken a little bit away from Shadow for the moment, and actually gets knocked off while he's moving all the way through. It'll be worth though to trade that damage.
I gotta feel that Parasite saved him. I heard a sniper shot followed by the Parasite going off. If you realize you don't know, it will absorb a headshot really well. So there's some value in it, and so that was done really nicely if that happened.
Especially the tech of a lot of medkits also just being held so you can kind of make the HP back from using those Parasites and making sure that you don't get hit and taken out or put in a spot that, you know, you see a lot of these players in. Wow, Chapek's so close and letting that sniper shot. The zone's also getting much smaller and central for a lot of these teams. This is not a pattern you usually see with the third zone locking in, Sancho. A lot of the times it pulls even more south in a zone like this. Lots of teams prep for that as well, trying to predict where the zone goes. But every time it's central, I feel like everyone just gets thrown into chaos.
And the chaos is about to get a little bit better as you see everyone prepping. And now in the distance, gorgeous gorge right there, that tremendous waterfall. We'll be seeing some zones that may go ping pong back and forth. And now you're seeing, we talked about the teams that are going to be going for height. One of those teams is Aqua's teams, and they are set up in a very decent position, not necessarily central here in zone 3. Of course, zone 4 will go more centralized. And the all key factor is having those clean rotations. And they do have a launch pad, Shai, which has made a return, has been unvaulted. And that's going to be a key factor throughout the entire season.
Yeah, you got to make sure your aim is also good towards the end games to knock people off who are flying in the sky. For this zone, though, it's all about how much you want to gamble with your investments of bases at this moment. You could move a little bit more central. You see the purple arrows are on the minimap already doing it, but for a lot of these guys already on mountains, they're going to have to keep repairing their bases, making sure they're making boxes where people might be able to, you know, climb right beside them, make sure everything is just good on their lair. As they do that, though, you know, the zone could just not lock in, Sancho. It could be a wasted investment entirely. That could be very dangerous. And the most dangerous part about this is that there's not enough space on the map. You'll see moments like this, Wakey right below, another box right above him, which is Buzz, Boxy, and Agram, who had a little bit of beef with them before still. Milan trapped right beside Toby and Dezinho. Even as a duo, they're still a big threat. They will pick up Hera on the side, though. That's huge for some of the loot that Wolfies absolutely needs in these big pots, but everyone's going to trap on that south side, Sancho.
We got about 5 seconds here to the next zone's going to be revealed here. We've already passed the placement threshold. It's already been doused out. About 5 placement points were doused out when 24 people were still up there. So we're getting closer and closer to the in-game moments. We're still in mid-game here. Wolfies, Milan, Orion, one of those trios that we're wondering, can it work? And so far, it has been working, considering they had a really great round 3. And round 4 is going to have to be true where the proof is in the pudding and see put it all together. But what has been the most delicious pudding throughout the entire EG region, of course, it's Hen, Janice, and Chapek, who you already mentioned it, being able to come in a top 10 place and being highly contested by High Crested trio, and considering that they only survived and made it to in-game 3 times, they were able to put up that top 10, just shows you the caliber of a trio this team is.
I mean,
absolutely. And now we'll wait for the lull moments for a lot of these guys to end up rotating. See, no, Riley, Aqua, and Vidil push for it. We're pressing height first, but there are so many different trios I'm thinking about that like it when there's a team right above them. Elokrat's one of them who's right below their base immediately. Wakey, Kinsla, iDrop also like that mid-low ground operation as they're moving through, especially in a lobby like this.
Quick question, Shio. Is it worth to have a Parasite? You know, sacrificing that 25 HP at this moment right here, would you want a Parasite on your head right now?
Definitely in this position, yes, because you never know what ends up happening between these 4th to 5th zone rotations. And Sancho, as the game gets later, elims end up coming through plentifully compared to before, right? You can make that 25 HP back on the Siphon. You know, Benji right now, 1 elimination. That Parasite will get traded in it. He'll block the damage, get the 50 HP off the Siphon too. It's definitely worth it.
Wow, we're just seeing right now the tech getting pulled out, and Benji's trio is looking really solid with 3 eliminations and 245 above right now. So they're going to be able to sit a little bit pretty, be a little bit less aggressive. They don't have to be all in or nothing when it comes to box fight. They're going to sit back passively and just shoot at people from a distance, relying on their range here as they get some shots here at Giannis, and that's going to slow down that push for hype. But you're talking about it right here. We're going to literally have a tale of 2 different hype pushes right now, considering it is split right down the middle from Gorgeous Gorge.
Oh, one wants to take control of the center. Wakey, though, taking lots of body shots. He has to back all the way up, but there's nowhere to go. Behind him, the ground is looking really, really weird, and the Parasite's gone too, so now the damage will be absolutely lethal. He's gonna have to try to get out. Sancho, these guys are like working the bottom of the barrel for position. This is tough.
Yeah, we saw them in that engagement. They slipped down. You talk about being that rocking against that parasitic place, but it is affecting them so much. They only got placement points considering they have got 0 elims. So yes, they made it this far, but to be able to get nothing beyond just that 5 points is not going to be a great match for them. And it's the same thing that's going to go to anyone else that's being really passive and not racking up those elims. But Giannis, Hen, and Chapix right now getting a little bit lobby focused here on the outside. They're going to have to be sure, as they're just barely holding on and they're barely inside. But look at it. So much pressure being put down by Mirza's trio, and from the bottom side, Diablo's trio right now trying to trip them up.
And why is that? Because the surge is active. Kinsel just 100 above. Mirza's trio is below and has lost all their shield. Wakey has gone down once again to Foxy. These guys have not left their side the entire time. It'll be a 2-man operation now, and one of the worst spots in zone you've ever seen, with everyone just taking surge damage over and over again.
They're tanking the zone. Right now, zone 5 has been revealed as going towards the north. There's already a lot of trios already making the move. This trio right here, Kinsel, has not. They do have a launch pad, but they have a lot of people in front of them, and they're gone. The pressure too much. Elocrats right there, and Hottie and Tripper were able to close that out, but now we're on board with someone in a little bit of greener pastures here, as now they're going to go ahead and shoot as many other people rotating around them. And look, they have a lot of options here in front of them. They got 2 trios to be able, and they do get 1 knock. Yes, take a look at the zone 5 right now. There's about 5 trios who have not made their way through.
Yeah, this side of the block is living that big, rich life. No surge to worry about, but that storm surge sector of homes is making the rotation in from the bottom left. You can see on your screen, there still are a few arrows left. Everyone's still trying to dictate exactly how things will work. Elocrats has somehow on the bottom right of your screen made it out, but Tripper goes down as a consequence, and they're still getting sprayed by everyone. Nothing in this zone is gained for free, and he goes down. Now it's all up to Hottie to try to clutch for the trio. Aqua, he sees all from height, and he punishes anyone making mistakes.
Even though Tripper's trio was able to get Wakey's trio right there, they paid the price on their rotation. But here it is, Shio, you see it.
Yeah, I see it. 2 big teams fighting for high ground, and not one has it just yet. It is going towards the side of Janice, Chapix, and Hen. They're going to be having the advantage on where the zone pulls, but the actual advantage of how high ground is goes all the way back to the deal. Noah Riley and Aqua, 2 Titan teams fighting for the most powerful spot on the map. That'll be the story for this endgame.
Here comes a rotation, and here's the ability. You hear all the gliders going off now. This is where the launch pad's gonna be a key factor, and they're actually gonna go for a high pad. This is super dangerous, as now the tags are happening. Noah Riley doing his best to avoid it, but in this kind of lobby, that was a really dangerous to go to the front side and be able to cap that other team down below. But wow, what a crazy pad right there, and there's the rest. Jen, Hannes, and Chapix are going for the high pad as well. Most likely will go to the front side as well. And look at it, who's at height? It is Janice, Chapix, and Hen.
We'll see Aqua, though, actually re-hit the pad and maybe have a chance to interrupt them on height and work for his team to come back up. But no, it is Janice, Chapix, and Hen who end up holding it out for the rest of the day and maybe even the rest of this game. We'll see what's possible. Reason jumping off the backside, not getting hit at all. His movement is way too clean, but like a side-scroller screen, we see everyone moving from right to left with no interruptions whatsoever on every single layer. Everyone trying to keep ahead of the zone, making sure that no one tries to send them home whatsoever. And Mitro with CRR and X8 is also alive in this endgame. Sancho, if we go towards that last zone and Mitro finds a purple pump, this is going to be dangerous.
This is exciting to see. The big name is making a return alongside with CRR and X8. Can Mitro return to glory, who has been always on social media, everybody questioning his commitment to the game, but Mitro is trying to prove that he is one of the best still in the game. That is the picture down low. On high still, Janice has it, and we still see Tayson's trio is still on the front side here. On the outer edge, Astro, Rifle is still on the bottom, but at height here, you're seeing the Storm Surge going through for a minute. 4 people have to go down here on this moving circle Storm starts Nico. Bodesai gets some knocks here on Lolito and Horno. Benji is still up, and he gets elimination on Swift.
Yeah, for this top tier team though, Genis, Chapix, and Hen, it's all about holding this presidential position. No one's going to be able to usurp them off the office. We'll see if it's possible for any other team to get in position, but they're so high, and they actually have height double tiered if possible before with Chapix. No, they are not confident. They know that no one can really interrupt them. Is that maybe an oversight? I'm not sure. Vidil's down though. For this team, it could be only one of the only ones in the lobby to contest them. It's not possible for them. There's big things happening though.
Oh my goodness, Vitro and CRR are just cooking up down below, but Noah Riley is still having such a dominant position. Mitro finally gets knocked by Jamsud. My question is on high, is they only down the south mats, and Hen is going to go sent down to cause Trails. He does get hit really hard, so it's up to Chapix and Hen right now, and Janice. They're looking good, and now they're going to be sent down below to Prowl as Benji gets eliminated. Reason picks up an elimination on Jamsud. This is it. It's a top 6 situation, and we talked about who is going to be able to walk away and get into the top 3. Jen, Hannix, and Chapix are that trio right here, right now. But Tayson, the golden man of the hour, is still alive alongside with his partner, Reason.
Lots of different teams on every single layer that have the potential to win this game. It can go anyone's way still. It's all about the zone closing in all the way towards the very end. 5 trios left now. 10 different players. Tayson going for the edit. 148. Aqua's about to be deleted. Tayson's getting heated, and it's only just starting right now. Noah Riley going down from the left as well. CR on the back walls, but Tayson does not care. He's gonna go for the edit, make the shot. No, actually work for the position. Hen, Genis, and Chapix, they're dropping down now. Still, so many teams they have to basically slice through, but man, these wood bills, everything down below, it's just too thick. Tayson, he's going down. The water is a bit too trudgy to walk through, and this top tier team on Heights Sancho, they're gonna wrap this thing all the way up for the moment. The team we knew would win the game and possibly even take first for the day. Chapix, Hen, and Janice make it just look way too easy.
11 eliminations and the victory royale. Once they got hold in height, it's all known from the Fortnite competitive community. They will not give it up, and they have